Welcome everyone. This webinar is designed to help librarians and other library staff guide job seekers using the latest labor market information tools. My name is Kevin Stapleton. I'm the Assistant Chief of Economic and Labor Market Information for the Vermont Department of Labor, and I'll be your host for this presentation. If you have questions or comments, please don't hesitate to contact me at the information provided on the screen. It will appear again at the end of the presentation. Before we start, we should note that this presentation is funded by the U.S. Department of Labor's Employment and Training Administration. We appreciate their support. The Labor Market Information Division's purpose is to produce, explain, and disseminate economic data for the benefit of the state of Vermont, educational institutions, employers, students, job seekers, researchers, and the general public. We are a state partner to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Employment and Training Administration. Today, we hope to share some resources that your clients might find valuable as those clients search for career opportunities. We'll start with a brief introduction, and then we'll talk about Career Technical Education Center profiles, a new data product we've created. We'll talk about the Business Finder and the Occupational Profiles, and then some other resources that might be helpful, including a Pathways of Promising Careers brochure produced by the McClure Foundation, and a few other federal websites. Along the way, if you see information on the screen that you would like copies of, there will be an opportunity at the end to get that information. So Career Technical Education Centers throughout the state, we have designed data products specifically for them, and the idea is that each region, each CTE region, has its own profile, and we'll take a look at those now. And as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, the Economic and Labor Market Information Sheet, this is resources from our website, and this page is the same on every region's profile. We will walk through a bunch of these resources later on in the presentation. On the right side of the screen, the Central CTE Employment Profile, this is the employment profile for the Central Career Technical Education region in the state of Vermont. And it's broken down into two categories. People who are seeking work based on the industry in which they want to work, and then people who would like to search based on the specific job they want to do or the occupation. On the industry side, you'll see that it's the top 5 industries by size. So the largest employers in the Central CTE are healthcare and social services. The next largest are public administration. And then underneath that, it's industries by concentration. And in this example, what we're looking at is industries that have a higher portion of employment or share of employment in these than other industries in the region. For example, the concentration of employment in finance and insurance is much higher in the Central CTE region than it is in the state as a whole. On the right-hand side is for people who know what type of job they want to do and want to do a search by occupation. So in the list of common occupations in the area to consider, this is just a selection of occupations that are more heavily concentrated in this CTE than in the state as a whole. And again, the top one there is bank tellers, insurance sales agents. These are all industry or occupations that appear more frequently in this region as a share than the state as a whole. And what we'll do now is look at two different ways to job search, one using the industry tool and one using an occupation tool. For the industry tool, we will use something called the Business Finder. This is a tool you can find on our website. It's a tool for finding employers in every industry in your area. So if you know what type of industry you want to work in, you can use the Business Finder. You can find it at www.btlmi.info, but again, that'll be available at the end of the presentation. On that home page, at the bottom left-hand corner, there's something called the Business Finder. It's in red here. You click on the Business Finder, and it takes you to the Business Finder page. And under this, you can choose a region, a county, and then search either by an employer name or by the type of industry and it will pull up information about every employer in the state. It'll give an estimate of how many people work there and what type of work they do. It should be noted that the data you find here is not generated by the Vermont Department of Labor. This is from a private sector firm. We purchased this data from a private sector firm, and but we believe it to be fairly accurate, and it will give you a good idea of what type of industries exist or what type of firms exist in an industry in your area. For example, if you look under general automotive repair in Chittenden County, you will find that there are 120 firms in Chittenden County that do general automotive repair. And if you click further through that, you can find the names, the contact information, for the address, the phone numbers for each one of those firms. And if you're looking for work and general automotive repair is what you want to do, sometimes it's effective just to look here, just to get an idea of the types of places you might be able to work. Maybe there's firms you didn't even know existed. Something like general automotive repair, there's going to be lots of them. You probably don't want to call every one. But for smaller industries, there might be places where you're not even aware that the firm exists, and you can pick up the phone and call and see if they're hiring. The other way to search is by occupation. And when you search by occupation, we encourage you to use something called the Occupational Information Center, which provides detailed information about hundreds of occupations in the state. You can find the Occupational Information Center from the www.vtlmi.info homepage under ELMI main menu. Click on Occupations in red here, and that'll take you to the Occupational Information Center, where in the search box there, you can just enter an occupation. And you might think to yourself, I don't know the technical name of the occupation I want to do. That's all right. Put any job title in there, and the Occupational Information Center will help you figure out the actual occupational title, the technical occupational title for that. So the red circle there, enter an occupation in there. For this example, we're going to enter chefs. So you enter chef into that, and chef is pretty specific, but not specific enough, because as you can see in the results, there are about a dozen different occupations that contain a keyword of chef: bakers, chefs and head cooks, chief executives, concierges, fast food cooks. For this example, we will look at chefs and head cooks, just picking one. So if you click on chefs and head cooks, it takes you to the occupational information page here, and that provides a detailed description of the occupation. It includes what the job actually entails, what you'll actually be doing on a day-to-day basis, the number of people in that occupation in the state, and also the expected annual rate of growth and annual openings. So you can get some idea of how many openings to expect statewide. That data is also available in 3 sub-state regions, one being the Chittenden or Burlington area, and then the balance of state north and the balance of state south. In the bottom left hand of this page, you can see the wage distribution by percentile. In this case, the median earning of a chef is $22.42 per hour. This means that half the chefs in Vermont earn more than $22.42 per hour, while half earn less. People at the 25th percentile, perhaps people with less skills or experience, earn $18.55 per hour, and more experienced and skilled chefs, of course, garner higher wages, with 75th percentile earning $27.19, and the 90th percentile earning $30.97. What any particular chef might earn is based on a wide range of factors, from their skills and education, their experience, the difficulty of preparation at a particular restaurant, and numerous other factors between the chef and the owners. These wage estimates, however, can serve as a useful tool for choosing an occupation and using your experience to bargain for higher wages. Going a bit further down this page, you can find information about educational attainment typically required for these positions, industries within which these occupations fall, the knowledge, skills, and abilities required for the job, and also a link to job openings both in the state and nationwide. A few other resources we'd like to briefly discuss. The first one of these is a very popular brochure produced in cooperation with the McClure Foundation called The Pathways of Promising Career: Vermont's High-Paying, High-Demand Jobs. And what this brochure does is break out occupations in the state and list those that have paid more than $20 an hour, that have growth rates above the statewide average for all occupations. And then it breaks them into what in education we refer to as Holland codes, but breaks them into categories based on what a person likes to do and what a person's aptitudes are. There are 4 of them, and as you can see, the first one is a category about, do you like working with your hands or with machines? So this is all going to be occupations that involve that activity. Highway maintenance workers, construction equipment operators, electricians, plumbers, civil engineers, electrical engineers. What's really nice about this brochure is that it lays it out by Holland code and then lets you know what level of education is required for these positions. And what's really interesting to us is that even within a Holland code, there are always jobs that require maybe less than a high school diploma, all the way up to jobs that require a bachelor's or a master's degree or a professional degree. So amongst working with your hands and machines, highway maintenance workers require a high school diploma, whereas HVAC mechanics and installers require a certificate program. And then further down the line, you can get to electrical engineers and civil engineers that require a bachelor's degree. And then the median wage is listed, and you'll see that there's an hourly wage listed and a yearly wage. Just for reference, the annual wage, the yearly wage listed there is simply the hourly wage times 2,080, which is the number of hours worked in a full-time 40 hours per week a year. So hopefully this information can guide people. Some people are a bit overwhelmed by how much data is on this form or on the sheet. And one thing we encourage people to do is, if the Holland code analysis doesn't work for a client who's in your library, we encourage people just to explore it by pick a color. There are 4 different Holland code breakdowns. And even if you're just picking your favorite color, pick one, do a little review of it, see if you can understand what's being presented there, and start to explore the options. And once people get comfortable with the data, they tend to be able to go back and look and use the Holland codes that are there. This is a great tool for people who are trying to make some career decisions. It should also be noted, however, that there are hundreds of occupations in Vermont, and we need people to do all types of work in the state. These just happen to be jobs that are in high demand right now, that pay high wages. But if you don't see an occupation on here, it doesn't mean that that can't be a great career for you. It just means that at the moment, it's not one of the high demand, high pay occupations. Another useful resource is called ONET. Much of the stuff we discuss after this is actually generated from ONET. ONET gives descriptions of hundreds of occupations. You can simply type an occupation into the upper right-hand corner there, and it will give you excruciating detail of what that job does, what the people in that job do, the attributes of the job, the wages. It will tell you the skills, knowledges, and abilities required. It will tell you where that job is in demand, and it will also link you to job openings nationwide. These descriptions come from surveys and interviews with thousands of employers, and within ONET are links to numerous other helpful resources, including some of the ones we're about to talk about next. But ONET is a good place to start if you're wanting to learn more about a career or a specific occupation. The next one is called myfuture.com, and this is a relatively new website that was made in conjunction with the U.S. Department of Education, the U.S. Department of Labor, and the U.S. Department of Defense. And it looks at resources to help young people plan the next step in their life, recent high school graduates, college graduates. It includes information about civilian careers, about military careers, and also about college planning, financial aid. It is a good overview of all the options a young person might have when they graduate, when they leave high school, when they leave college. And advice on a wide range of topics, from taking the SAT to interviewing for a job to preparing for boot camp. Lots of resources available there. In a similar vein, My Next Move allows users to search for a variety of occupations based on what their interests are. In this site, you can basically tell my next move, these are the things that I like, these are my hobbies, these are the things that bring me fulfillment, and it will help you find jobs that meet those. The interest profiler on my next move, which we'll look at in the next slide, does an analysis for you. It's about a 15 or 20-minute quiz of sorts, and once you complete that, it takes all of your interests and shows you a long series of occupations that might be interesting to you. And what's really useful about this is, I think especially for young people, it's sometimes hard to know what occupations, what jobs out there might be available to you that are going to be interesting to you, because you only see a small slice of those occupations in your town, in your community, in your school. The interest profiler really helps people broaden their understanding of what they might be able to do. So we encourage you to use that tool as well. And then the next one is My Skills, My Future. And My Skills, My Future isn't so much for recent graduates as it is for people, mid-career people, career changers, people who have been laid off. And what this does is take your current job and your former jobs perhaps, and helps you explore new careers that use that same experience. So if you type into here that you worked in retail sales, it will take all of the skills and knowledge and abilities that you acquired working in retail sales and say, here's another career, here's another occupation that uses a similar skill set. I like to use the example that when my first job in high school was to work in a fast food restaurant. At the time, I thought I was just working in a fast food restaurant. In retrospect, using things like My Skills, My Future, I can see all the various skills that I learned. I learned important things like arriving to work on time, of course, but I also learned basic financial accounting skills, basic chef skills. What My Skills, My Future does is help you take your career path so far, the skills you've gained there, it helps you understand those skills and better apply them to other opportunities that might be available. Finally, we always want to encourage people to stop into or call one of our career resource centers. The Vermont Department of Labor has 12 career resource centers throughout the state, and the people in these offices can help. They can help you write a resume, they can help you find a job, they can connect you to Vermont Job Link, where literally thousands of jobs are available. They can really help you figure out exactly what it is you want to do and take the steps to get you there. They also have contact information for businesses across the state that are hiring. So we always want to encourage people to either make a call for an appointment at one of these career resource centers, or you can just drop in. And the librarians will have this information as well. Finally, the last slide here is just all the resources we've discussed in this presentation. You can see links to all the websites, and you can also see the contact information for the Labor Market Information Division. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact us at 802-828-4202 or the other contact information provided there. Thanks for listening.